Hi, fourth graders. I'm here to continue reading Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. We are picking up on chapter 6 today, just to give you an idea of the picture here, and we'll jump in. As Minley left the house, she was afraid some of her neighbors would stop her or ask her where she was going. She felt she must look mysterious, with a large bag on her back and full of excitement. But no one noticed her. The neighbors kept sweeping their doorways, hanging their laundry, and preparing dinner. A boy and girl continued their fight over a pretend feast of mud. When the mother called them for dinner, both refused to move, each clinging to their dishes of wet dirt. Minley had to smile at their foolishness. So Minley walked right out of the village without causing a second glance. At the edge of the village, she turned toward Fruitless Mountain. At the bottom of the mountain, she unwrapped her blanket and took out her knife, needle, rice bowl, bamboo piece, and jug of water. Then, trying to remember all of the goldfish's instructions, she cracked off a small bit of stone and rubbed it up and down the needle 99 times before tossing it back to the ground. Then, she filled a rice bowl halfway with water and let the bamboo float in it. After that, she picked up the needle and looked at the white rabbit on her bowl. "Okay," she said to the jumping rabbit, "lead the way." And she placed the needle onto the bamboo. Like magic, the needle spun around. Minley smiled. "Thank you," Minley said again to the painted rabbit. "Now I'll follow where you want me to go." Minley packed up her things and carefully, holding the bowl in her hand, walked in the direction of the needle, past Fruitless Mountain. "Goodbye, Jade Dragon," Minley said as she left. "When I come back, I will know how to make you happy again." Minley walked and walked, and the stony land slowly turned into forest. Even when the moon was high in the sky, she continued. "I want to make sure I walk far enough that if Ma and Ba begin to look for me, they can't find me," Minley said to herself. The fallen leaves made a soft carpet for her feet, and the night birds flew into the sky as she passed. Only when the sky lightened to gray and the sun began to peek over the horizon did Minley sit down and rest against a tall tree. She had traveled deep into the forest, far from her village and her home. She was so tired that she quickly fell asleep. Since that was so short, I'm going to continue going with chapter 7. But before we do that, I'm just stopping and pausing, and I don't know about you, but I'm kind of swept away in this magicalness in this fantasy world. The idea that a white rabbit on a bowl is leading the way is pretty fascinating to me. I'm also wondering, I still don't have a clear prediction in my mind. I don't know about you, of what's going to happen. One thing I don't think will happen is I don't think Ma and Ba are going to find her. That's just what I think. But what are you predicting will happen? We'll continue with chapter 7. Once again, sorry, almost forgot to show you the illustration. The sun had set and the moon was just beginning to rise in the sky when Ma and Ba returned home from the fields. Even though they could smell the steam from the rice cooking, they noticed the house was strangely dark and quiet. "Why is Minley sitting in the darkness?" Ma wondered as they approached the house. "Perhaps she is sad about giving up her goldfish," Ba said as he shook his head. "Can our fortune be any poorer?" Ma sighed. "We cannot even feed a goldfish for our daughter." But as Minley's parents entered the house and read her note, Ma made a noise like a shrieking cat. "I spoke too soon," Ma cried. "Our fortune is now the worst, for our only daughter is gone." "Quiet, quiet, wife," Ba hushed her. "If we move quickly, we can find her and bring her back home." Ba hurriedly took out his cloth sack and gathered blankets and filled an empty bottle with water. "She has had almost a half a day to travel ahead," he said. "It might take us some time to find her." Ma watched him and then began to pack the cooked rice into a traveling box, but she continued to weep. "It's all the stories you told her," Ma sobbed. "She believed them, and now she is looking for fairy tales." Her words cut into Ba like slices from a knife, but even though his face was pained, he said nothing and continued to pack. His hands trembled as he tied the bag closed, but they were gentle when he put them on Ma's shoulders. "Let us go," he said. I want to pause really fast. Think about that phrase, her words cut into Ba like slices from a knife. So just interesting to think about, what do they mean when they say words cut into Ba? How can words cut? Just something interesting to think about. As they left the house, many of their neighbors poked their heads out of their doors. They had heard Ma scream through the thin walls of their closely spaced houses and wanted to know what had happened. When Ma and Ba told them, it seemed as if the whole village poured out of their homes. "Never-ending mountain? The old man of the moon? Changing your fortune?" the neighbor said. "You better go find her, or else she will never return. Foolish Minli. She is trying to do the impossible." Each villager pointed and nodded toward the direction they had seen Minli last. Some had seen her heading home, others towards the rice fields. But finally a small boy was heard. "Minli left toward Fruitless Mountain," he said. "I saw her with her pack. She went that way." So with the villagers waving them goodbye, Ma and Ba walked toward Fruitless Mountain, their dark shadows trailing behind them in the moonlight. But when they reached the mountain, they looked at each other uncertainly. "Where did she go from here?" Ba wondered, and he lit the lantern in his hand. The soft light seemed to warm the air and soften the growing darkness. "Here!" Ma cried out, pointing to the ground. "There are footprints going towards the woods. Maybe they are Minli's." Ba looked at the footprints. There was another mark accompanying them, a long pulling line. Ba pointed at them. "But what is that?" he wondered. "Maybe Minli was dragging a walking stick," Ma said. "The footprints could be hers." Ba looked again at the footprints. They seemed small and nimble. "Perhaps they are," Ba said. "Let's follow them." And so they did. What are you predicting is going to happen? Here I said I didn't think Ma and Ba would find her, but now I'm wondering. They seem like they are kind of close on her trail. What do you think? Because these chapters are so short, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. We're going to read chapter 8 next. Minli woke up when the sun was high in the sky and burning with light. Even in the shade of the forest, Minli's black head burned hot. As she woke up, she looked at her jug of water. Since she had used some of it for her compass and had drunk some during her night walk, it was only half full. She sipped it and tried not to think about Ma and Ba finding her note. "I hope they understand," Minli said to herself, shifting the weight of the water jug on her shoulders uncomfortably. Minli walked west again. A couple of moments later, she sipped her jug again. She tried to drink sparingly, but even through the leaves of the trees, the yellow sun glared down at her. Soon, her empty jug was bouncing against her arm when she heard a faint noise running through the trees. "That's water trickling," she said to herself as she turned toward the sound. "There's water here somewhere." Soon, she noticed a small stream running with clear, sparkling water. She eagerly bent down to drink and fill her jug, but as soon as Minli tasted the water, she spit it out. "Salt water!" Minli exclaimed. "The water is salty." As she sat back, Minli began to wonder, how is this stream salty? I am far from the ocean. This is very strange. and unable to contain her curiosity, Minley forgot about her thirst and began to follow it. The stream widened and deepened, becoming more of a river than a stream. Just as Minley began to think that should return to her journey, she began to hear deep moans that gently shook the earth. "Who's there?" Minley shouted. "Help!" a muffled voice whimpered. "Can you help me?" "I'm coming," Minley called. She quickly put down her compass on the side of the water and waded in. The water was warm like bath water and clear as glass. Minley could see her feet in all the stones and leaves at the bottom of the stream. As she moved toward the voice, the water rose higher and higher, to her knees and then almost to her neck. "Are you still there?" the voice asked. "Please help me." "I'm coming," Minley called again. She took a deep breath and dove toward the voice. The salt water stung her eyes, so she closed them tightly until she broke through the surface. When she finally opened her eyes, Minley almost sank back underwater with shock, because there, in front of her, was a dragon. A dragon? I guess for me, that kind of, I'm thinking about perhaps that's the dragon that's on the cover of this book. So maybe it's making sense just from the cover. I was predicting that there's some sort of dragon. I knew this was going to be fantasy. Obviously, it already is. A talking goldfish, a white rabbit on a bowl leading the way. But it's interesting. I think we might have just met this dragon. And one of the things I'm wondering, I don't know about you, but how big of a character is this dragon going to be in the text? Okay. Keep up the great thinking, fourth graders. I look forward to seeing you next time.